It's an army.
Okay.
This is something that has been rising in popularity, but wasn't normally what we'd see picked last year. Tidal Wave can certainly help out, though, as Keen is thinking about playing something weird, but double circles is probably the most scary, and that is going to be coming through here.
We talked about the blind Ambessa earlier. My first thought was going to be Keen just playing Gwen into it. He opts into this choice almost every time he's given the opportunity to. He really likes this matchup, and it is a strong one for the Gwen. A lot of magic damage here on the side of GENG, but not a lot of options to itemize against it for Dplus, so it doesn't really matter, I think, in this scenario. Really strong side lane pressure here for GENG. Insane wave clear, and also range. On the side of Dplus Kia, you really just have to get into the back line and kill Ruler. That is the game plan. The Corki feels really good in comps like this because...
let's see whether it works out once again as we get under the rift. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the rift and already into a little bit of fighting here towards the bottom side of the map. As Korea with the ebb and flow is not necessarily going to be winning out, but Smash is at least able to do a bit of damage back to Duro to try and even things out here. Potion going to be drank here by Korea, and Duro holding on to his. As Cosmic Binding just thrown at Smash.
Stop getting Smash's barrier. Doesn't like to use it like that.
Well, he hasn't, so he's probably okay for now. Oh, public execution towards his top side. She's looking for the solo kill. Keen, couple more autos, but Keen turns it, never mind. Showmaker comes in and saves the...
Canyon is going to start this. Chovy is in the area. They're looking for a play topside. They cancel it, though.
Yeah, Keen actually has the needlework back up, and Shiu doesn't have his ultimate, and so he's just dead. Solo bolo over to Keen. Very nicely played. And now GENG, Chains of Corruption do go wide, but they still manage to take down that dragon. Duro now magically journeys his way out, but Lucid not going to get stunned up here, as there is the boat flying out. And Tidal Wave not really going to connect, as now Showmaker in a very unfortunate position, does have to flash to get out of the way of Canyon, as now Lucid, he's looking to exit. DK looking a little bit...
I think it was the right choice, but kill pressure, but off the cards. Could try to get this crystalline overgrowth, but it's too risky. In fact, not going to get it, and also possibly going to be too risky.
It's Ambessa, though.
He has
just dash and then do more dashes, as there it is. There's a knock-up on Canyon as well, who's delivered backwards. Duro throwing down the Tempered Fate, locks up a couple. Shiu not quite able to answer too much, is out. He will go. Showmaker makes his way in, though, as now Canyon gets his Triumph proc and actually keeps himself alive. The flash forward from Shiu, but there's the Cosmic Binding to hold him in place. Big ol' shield thanks to that Eclipse, as now Showmaker, realizing with Chovy making his way in, he is probably dead, and tells his young top laner just to save himself.
It's a really rough exchange there from Dplus. It looked so good at the outset. But because Duro is also have control of this dragon for the moment.
Yeah, Lucid is going to walk up, though. Let's see who's going to be able to win the smite fight. It is just going to go over to Lucid there. Locks up the Cloud Drake as into the bubble goes the Xin Zhao. As wall is put down, Lucid in a lot of trouble. He's just dead. Does survive for quite some time and actually gets a lot of his health bar back, but still not going to be enough to save him.
This is a huge win, though, for Dplus. Like, Smite. As the smite timing here is, okay, hold up.
Yep, meanwhile in live, we have a very dead Chovy, or at least a very egg Chovy, until he's a dead Chovy. It's going to take a little bit of time, but there it goes, and that is a kill over to Shiu, the Ambessa.
Resources here, and they're playing through him as, speaking of Shiu.
Yeah, he might be in a little bit of trouble here, I might add, as Canyon does go in. He just wants to get out of the way. Yeah, dashing is something that this Ambessa can do. Tempered Fate will be able to hold him in position, and the attempted juke is actually going to work to his detriment, as gets a bunch of shields, but still snip, snip, and down he will go. Turret falls on the top side of the map, though. That is going to be first turret blood over to DK.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this doesn't really bother Dplus all that much. Showmaker is also going to try to get this first initial plate here on the inner.
Some crystalline overgrowth has started to build.
Showmaker does have his Seraphs completed and transformed, so going to feel good about this as we're bringing everyone.
It's just going to get flashed on. There's the ulti to try and keep them at bay. Is Duro tanking up the turret nicely, and that should mean that the Ambessa does go down. Duro able to move out of the way of the angry turret and keeps himself alive. And so now another one going to fall down in exchange for an outer on the bottom side. But Chovy is going to survive as Realm Warp is just going to get rid of the Rift Herald, who just crashes into a wall on the other side of the map. I'm interested in how this fight's going to go. The first Ocean Drake of the game, as it is another Ocean Soul. We've had a fair few this week. But GENG in position, they will start this one up, and it's going down pretty quickly, as Duro possibly stunned up here, and in fact he is, or at least snared by, okay, flash forward from Lucid. It is Canyon that locks down the Dragon, as now Lucid is in the back of the pit, having to deal with Chovy and Canyon. Wants to be able to flag drag his way out, but it's not quite going to work. Yeah, just taken out by the Xin Zhao, as now Xiu finds himself alone in the backline. And it's just Lucid that goes down after attempting a steal.
But the moment in time where GENG have this lead feels really good for Chovy. He's going to get the transform to 15.
Yeah, he's actually, I think it's going to tick over. Yeah, there it is, right now.
It says on Showmaker's phone right now. I don't know what it means.
Oh, I wonder whether it means that Keen is going to be okay or not. As flash out of the way of Canyon, and Xiu, unfortunately, is going to be the one that dies. Get off the phone. My goodness. His career moving down towards this bottom side. And that should just be this inner turret going down, and it is. GENG secure that one, and it's because this could have been a soul that they would be fighting for. Is okay, there's a public execution right on top of Ruler, as Xiu still pretty healthy, is now Keen diving on forward. They get rid of Xiu though, and Ruler is going to survive. So it's not exactly working out here for Dplus, as now Showmaker running around trying to avoid the skill shots, but he can't do any damage. The Gwen will finally go down. Showmaker lasts a lot longer than I think a lot of people expected, but that's 3 dead for 1.
That's Baron. They're just going to take the magical journey with the wave clear they have.
Yeah, the playability is low, and like that's absolutely true.
The follow-up for Xiu's engage just
too little and potentially too late for them to really get too much done as the Glacial Storm goes up.
I just don't think this is the kind of game you can win unless you win a huge team fight swimmingly to get enough map control back.
Yeah, well, public execution on top of Canyon here. Does have the Crescent Guard to keep himself alive. The Baron is going to help take down this inner turret though. And in the meantime, you've got Keen running amok and taking down this inner in mid at the same time. So GENG just splitting the map, making things real awkward for DK.
The realm warp for Showmaker as well. GENG were like, oh, are they taking that? Please do. They like all turned around when they saw it. They were like, ooh.
Wow. That's a lot of damage the Duro take.
That was big damage, but I don't think they care.
Oh, another flat rush coming in there as the tidal wave knocks up Chovy, but they just cannot get close enough.
Xiu doesn't have ult, so the GENG have really put the screws into these inhibitors.
And Ruler has been so frustrating. He's just always too far away.
He's getting closer to having his ultimate back, so they need to leave. 10 seconds on that one. Maybe this could be the first angle that Dplus have had in a while here to maybe get something done.
Good vision available here for GENG, though, to know exactly where they are. Cosmic Binding does go wide. DK still wanting to get something done here, as there's the public execution on top of Canyon as Lucid dives forward as well. Great use of the tidal wave as the bubble is going to come through there. Chovy able to flash out of the way, and Showmaker into the backline wants to try and kill Keen, but he's so incredibly fed on this Gwen. Chovy finishes him off in the end, and GENG, they're just like an impenetrable fortress.
They just played it so perfectly. They left no margin for error. Now Lucid,
I think he's going to the test. That's all right. DK back out onto the map now, as teleport is very short here for the Gwen. As Xiu goes in, so does Lucid though. Great Cataclysm as Tempered Fate to hold GENG in position, buying time for Keen as best they can. But Chovy going to go down as the Ambassador dancing around the fight. Canyon so close to dead, but Korea can't do anything about it, and he's going to get taken out. Into the backline goes the Jarvan, but why is Canyon still alive?
He's super, super low, but does survive.
Look at Canyon's health bar.
Yeah, and he may be sundering the sky a little bit on those final hits.
And GENG are just going to take Baron by this game.
Oh, you think it would take 2 or 3 autos from Keen to kill that turret with Crystalina for sure?
Yeah. Well, there's a public execution as Xiu dives in. They're looking to time it here as Canyon in a good spot right now.
Showmaker.
Chovy trying to dance his way out of there, but Showmaker gets a big old shield and it's just not enough. Both of them lying on the floor as now Keen taking matters into his own hands. Smash still trying to do the damage back as Keen will look a little bit low. But yeah, in trade for Lucid and Showmaker's lives, I don't think this is going to work because the teleport back in from Chovy is just going to net the end of the inhibitor turret in mid lane. And in very quick succession. Most of these structures are going to be disintegrating right before your eyes. And Gen.G, I feel like this entire game was just about preventing DK from being able to play. As Smash will finally die for the very first time this game, right before his Nexus follows suit. That is going to be the delayed ace, and it will be completed. Nexus dies as well, and Gen.G, man, what a frustrating comp to play into, but beautifully. Nivea was just a beautiful pick in this game. Even though Chobi didn't do a massive amount of damage, the way that they utilized this composition.
Encore extensions with the Wukong and the Galio, and they already have so much CC, and the arrow on top of it feels great. As this was not really what I had in mind when I was talking about Showmaker's eclectic pool. It is very strong, but it is not consistent damage, and it is very conditional CC in a lot of these fights. Great for peeling with the again into the Wukong, and is going to be amazing in the early laning phase to just chunk the Galio out and constantly have prio. But it comes with a lot of trade-offs, and it is very immobile into a composition that has Wukong, Galio, Ashe, Seraphine.
Yeah, it does lack a little bit of the ability to get out of the way of all of this stuff that's just going to be thrown at you. The wombo combo potential here of Gen.G, like everyone can CC you with a skill shot. It's kind of ludicrous. Canyon, not necessarily as much with a skill. He spins around on top of you. But it still does work kind of the same way as the Gargoyle can just fall down on top when you have an arrow come down, the Encore over the top. Yeah, DK need to be so incredibly careful because their composition feels a lot all in. And then see whether we can get him an extended series and a very late night. Let's get into the Rift game 2. All right, Dplus fans, very loud. As you can see, the Gen.G solo laners hanging out together in the grub pit. Seeing whether there's any shenanigans to go on. Looks like nothing at all. Neither of them with much of an ability to get over said grub pit wall. Outside of the flash.
Yeah, it's not...
his ultimate up and available. Lucid moving over, looking for both Ruler and Duro. As there's the Arc of Ruin. Underneath the turret goes Lucid, as Ruler is going to go down. That is first blood over to Smash, but the answering kill does immediately come in. Canyon looking to try and get his way forward, as there's the flash out from Korea, and the flash immediately answered there by Canyon. He wants to get in with another Nimbus strike, but doesn't quite connect. Duro's there, though, and locks down the Yunara. Much control at all. Blackfire Torch is now done for Showmaker, so first item is going to be coming on through there, as the Equalizer is put through this top lane from Keen, just to make sure that he creates the tempo that he wants.
And they want to set up for Grubs here very soon, and...
This is frightening. There is Wild Growth and the ulti from Smash here available, but there is the Gargoyle's heroic entrance. The arrow's going to come down there as the cleanse immediately stops that one from happening, but there's the Encore, and there is just CC for days, overloading the bottom lane 4 versus 2, and there is nothing DK can do about it.
Yeah, Showmaker gets a plate, and Lucid gets a Gromp. All right.
Is now 100% kill contribution on this Seraphine.
It's those guys.
0-3. My goodness.
And... okay, let's see. Lucid can find the angle.
Lucid dives in, finds the Vault Breaker, and down will go Canyon before he can do anything. Wild Growth onto Lucid to keep him alive as now Duro desperately trying to get out, but Lucid saying, this is my buy, and we will find a win here in this mid-game, and Lucid do manage to get something done.
Lucid says, let's get in there quickly and shut this down. It's not in position. They don't have the champs to do it either. And, I mean, you know, this Dragon just goes over for free. Chobi's free farming in the bottom lane. And Lucid is going to try to start up this Herald. I don't even know.
Not going to be taking this Rift Herald either.
It's just another one on the list.
Yeah, well, let's see.
Duro can deny them entry easily.
Lucid is level 11, so he is pretty scary. And now Sheer is ulting his way forward. Duro might be his target, as there he is, able to crash his way in. That is going to be the steal over to Lucid, but is he going to pay for it with his life? That's the question. The Cyclone comes down. Scatter the Weak is fantastic as Lucid. He can flash the wall, but he's also got a Vault Breaker. As Sheer is going to die, and I don't think the eye is going to go over to DK. Zombie Scion could have tried to get there, but instead, he is just going to be taken out. So it is just going to be the Rift Herald
Xiu just is unable to really impact that that fight at all with his ult in.
So this is feeling...
But it gets tougher and tougher the further you fall behind. And when you don't have map control, making plays like that feel like pipe dreams. I mean, you can see here, Lucid tries to make one now.
Yeah, here's another drive from Xiu, but this time, unfortunately, just crashes into the wall. Cyclone out from Canyon, not exactly getting too much value, as Lucid able to vault break his way out, as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow doesn't exactly get too much done. Korea Wild Growth himself just to peel, and then Keen getting into the back line, but Xiu is there as a brick wall. So DK, good defense, right? Unfortunately, a defense doesn't necessarily win you the game, as Ruler almost dies. The Arc of Ruin, not enough though. And Showmaker avoiding the Winds of War quite nicely. And DK will be able to get away with their lives intact.
It's really going to get harder and harder in this game. And
Chovy! Chovy gets in there. Taunt is going to connect onto only Lucid, though, as everybody else able to flash themselves out. There's a teleport in, though, as Duro is going to die to the turret. Keen might be doing the same thing, but actually the turret hasn't got mad at him yet. It's Chovy that comes down on top and starts tanking it up. Xiu gets the knock up there, as Duro in trade for Lucid is it right now, but Ruler now trying to get a little bit aggressive. Slow.
You really have to try to find a target and commit all together.
Well, Keen gonna get knocked up. Let's see whether Smash can help take him down, as the heroic entrance does come on in, and that is going to defend the Rumble, and they take down the Dragon. DK just not really able to answer anything that Gen G are throwing out.
And Gen G's comp just is so good defensively, and they have map control, they have prio. Lucid wants to flank, but I think he should probably think twice.
Yeah.
Think twice.
Rotating over. There is the taunt, and I think Lucid's just dead. There's the encore. Beat drop comes on down, and yeah, Scat of the Week is there from Showmaker, but that's all he really offers, and it's just a dead Lucid. This have to flash as well to avoid the beat drop. Lucid still fighting here, as Chovy just gets out. Heroic entrance to join the rest of his team. Xiu going to die as well. Oh, never mind! He gets a big old shield and survives. In the meantime, there's a knock-up out from Xiu, who does have to flash as well to avoid the beat drop. Lucid still fighting here, as Chovy just gets out. Heroic entrance to join the rest of his team. Xiu going to die as well. Oh, never mind! He gets a big old shield and survives. But what's the point of surviving if you're just slowly losing the game? Oh, and there's the Cyclone. Maybe it's a bit faster than I would have otherwise thought. Both of the carries dead in the blink of an eye. And Gen G are going to turn their sights towards the inner turret and possibly everything else.
Canyon having a phenomenal Wukong game here. As hard as they may swing, as much as they may struggle, they can make no dent in Gen G.
They need to buy some like Wolverine claws or something like that. Because, yeah, okay, Lucid's going to go in and doesn't manage to get the steal, but he got pretty close. Canyon does not early smite this time around, as the arrow is going to connect onto Korea, who is very, very dead. Xiu is also very dead. And Showmaker and Smash are just kind of left wondering on the too keen. But even if there are some nice answers, in goes Lucid. All right, here's the Hail Mary, the heroic entrance. It comes down as Smash trying to keep himself safe. They take down Lucid to start this off, as it is going to be a kill onto Ruler. They find one. Showmaker able to get something done, as now Smash throws out that Arc of Ruin onto Chovy. Not able to find too much more, as these harpoons from Kane took so much damage. It is going to be a 1-for-1, and when you're really far behind, a 1-for-1.
Then the equalizer was dropped just for Siege. Dplus had one opportunity there. They seized one Ruler.
Yeah, and that's about it. Chemtech Soul now put together.
It saves
in
this game.
Yeah.
As the diadem into Moonstone.
He's
so much healing.
There's the flash taunt here. Gets a lot of flashes out of DK. Xiu is going to show up as well. Smash trying to get some autos down, and is actually able to get a little bit of work done, as Chovy's interrupted. This might be a kill, as there's that Arc of Ruin that you were talking about before, but the flash in from Keen, the Unar overstepped, and it's a heroic entrance now from Chovy. Scat of the Week is fantastic out of Showmaker, but I just don't know whether it's going to be enough here, as DK are circling the drain, and despite their best efforts, the gold lead for Gen G just keeps on increasing.
Who's it trying to catch this wave? He will be able to buy some additional time here. They need to buy time for Smash to respawn, otherwise this game will just simply end.
Yeah, this inhibitor is certainly going to go down, as Showmaker does not get hit by the encore. So, I mean, he might come back on stage once again. We'll just have to see as Chovy is going to taunt up career. It's just a little bit sad at this stage, isn't it? As he throws out the wild growth and does run away. He's actually going to survive somehow, but the Nexus turrets are not. And GENG, what an absolute domination here in this best of 3. 2 drafts that looked unplayable against. And DK just left scratching their heads with a loss in the column for the first time this LCK Cup. GENG remain undefeated.
The streak continues. The 5-game split between Elder and Baron continues. History repeats itself again.
Is that 3 days in a row now? I know that Wednesday was a 6-gamer, so it's 5-5-5. All right, we'll see whether Sunday is going to do the same thing or whether we're going to bookend it with some 6-game bangers. But GENG